Welcome to Our College Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. On this week's episode, we bring you the second of our 4 main stage Student Success Summit presentations. This week, we have the presentation by Dr. Tamara Clunis, Vice President for Academic Affairs at Amarillo College. Dr. Clunis was with us at the 2019 summit and was such a fan favorite that we invited her back to give the keynote for the 2020 summit. We were excited to have her join us, and I think you're really going to enjoy her presentation.
The title of my presentation is Facing the Giants, Rapid Cycle Innovation and the Student Success Agenda. And so, as always, I always want to situate us geographically. This is Amarillo. We're up in the Panhandle. I have, though you can't see me, I do have on snow boots and a dress because I had to, slog my way through inches. I want to say it looks like about 8 inches of snow to get to my office and on campus today. Now, I also want to introduce you to Tamara Clunis, the Transformer. And I know that you may be thinking, what? Yes, this is a caricature of me. This is probably the most special award that I've ever received in my professional career. My college implemented superheroes, and I was awarded the Transformer superhero. I think this would make a really good action figure. I think it could be a bestseller. But I digress. But I want you to see this, one, because I want you to know the voice that I'll be coming from today. I'm bringing Tamara Clunis, the Transformer, to our time together for the summit this year. Again, things have changed. When I was with you last time, Amarillo College was in the midst of a deep transformation. I shared with you things that we were working on at the time. And since that time, Amarillo College has been recognized as an Aspen Prize Top 150 community college in the country. And then we were notified in late spring that we actually are now a top 10 finalist for the 2021 Aspen Prize. We've already had our site visit, and so that's done. And so that's why I'm really excited that I can my mind's free to just devote to enjoying the summit, being with you online for these days. And so we will find out in late May if we are a recipient of the Aspen Prize. But I'll be honest with you, it's not about the prize. You see the wall right behind me. It's about the students that are on the wall. The motto or the slogan behind me says success is within reach. And that's what it's all about. The reason why Amarillo College and all the accolades that we've won, we're not doing it for the accolades. It's really exciting. And don't get me wrong, it is fantastic to be affirmed that you're going in the right direction. When an external entity recognizes you, it makes you feel really good. It makes the hard work, the late nights, really worth it. The vacation that you didn't get a chance to take, it makes it all worth it. So I want to get you to understand and reintroduce you for those of you who I talked to you about Maria last year. And if you're new to Ivy Tech and you haven't heard me talk about Maria before, she is the reason why we do what we do. Everything that we do is about her. She is a typology, the archetype student at Amarillo College. And so this year we have 2 aspects of Maria. There's the Maria who is the broad general Amarillo College student from any age, which our average age Maria is about 27 years old. It's actually gone up a bit. But we also have our own Promise Scholarship now, where any student that graduates from Amarillo Independent School District actually receives a 60-hour scholarship of tuition and books to attend Amarillo College. To the young lady with a Thrive Scholarship, that's the Maria Thrive student, still with a very comparable characteristics, except that the Thrive student is more likely to be full-time than Maria, the overall student. So I just want you to introduce you to these students because they're the reason why we've been doing what we've been doing. And to get to that point, to get to this Aspen Prize recognition level, it has taken hard work. We have had to try to turn our institution upside down and just transform it from the bottom up, from the top down, bottom up, however you want to say it. Amarillo College is not the same institution that it was in 2015 when Dr. Russell Lowry Hart became our president. And so I just want to make sure that you see this and understand that the transformation that we've gone through, what it really takes, disruption, being willing to change, to question, to reimagine, to reinvent everything about the work, it has been necessary. So my title of my presentation was Facing the Giants, and I'm talking about rapid cycle innovation. And I haven't spoken a lot about rapid cycle innovation public facing. I talk about rapid cycle innovation internally for the most part to our college. And I now believe that it's time for this aspect of the Amarillo College story to be told. The why, the what, and the how of rapid cycle innovation. Well, to be fair, rapid cycle innovation is actually a business literature construct. And it is really about businesses trying to be the first. It's a very competitive, it's a continuous improvement model about quality. And that's definitely what we are about here at Amarillo College. And so why in the world would we be talking about a business construct in a higher education setting? Well, I'm glad you asked. So I want to make sure so that as I go through to tell our story, I want to lay the foundation that we're all on the same page about rapid cycle innovation and how it's going to apply in the story I'm going to be telling you in telling you our story at Amarillo College. Rapid cycle innovation is just that. As I said, it's about continuous improvement. It's all about speed, okay, and trying to get a product to market. Well, what does rapid cycle innovation look like in higher education? Actually, before I lay that part, I just want to lay a little bit more about this why, what, and how. Rapid cycle innovation does have this kind of circular process that we go through. In the business literature, it looks like planning, doing, acting, and studying. But here's the key piece about rapid cycle innovation in the business world. It's all about small projects. It's taking something on a small scale, a small little prototype that you then take and turn into something really big. Don't fool yourself. The Tesla and all these fancy cars and all of that all started with a small prototype that then becomes something larger at scale. So again, hold on, stay with me because I'm going to be talking about what this looks like in higher education and how in the world it relates to Amarillo College. So let's go and now look at higher education. I do believe with the student success agenda that higher education as a whole has adopted this commitment as a whole to improvement, to serving our students in the best way, in the best capacity. Now, I will say this, that I do believe that this commitment is deeper and stronger and more tangible and seen in the community college sector. And I'm proud of that. Community colleges serve the majority of higher education students, at least initially out of high school, and we are the driving engine. Community colleges are the drivers of our local and national economy, and the community colleges are going to get the country through this worldwide pandemic and the issues that are facing us in the coming years. Now, again, the issue about rapid cycle innovation in higher education is that really we're more committed, quite frankly, to improving. We're just not all on the same page about how fast we're going to do it. And so that's what I want to talk with you about and really spend the majority of my time talking about. Now, let me be clear. Rapid cycle innovation is different from blitz scaling. It's very important that you get these two frameworks as I'm going through. Rapid cycle innovation is about a replicable process that includes measurements and metrics and an opportunity to tweak and redo. Blitz scaling is chaos. And yes, blitz scaling is also coming from the business literature. I encourage you to check out the article from Harvard Business Review 2016. It transformed me in looking at rapid cycle innovation, but they are not the same. Blitz scaling is basically what we've gone through with COVID, quite frankly. It's about doing it fast. There's a lot more chaos that goes along with blitz scaling. And I do not advise institutions to make their student success work to try to tackle that giant of change, the issues that are going on in your institution, Ivy Tech, in a blitz scale mode. We don't have any choice with COVID. We had to go there. But what we're talking about is being able to clearly differentiate as an organization when you need to blitz scale and when you are going to do rapid cycle innovation. I would dare say that if you are focused on rapid cycle innovation, you should need less time to blitz scale, and it should not be nearly as chaotic. I'm really proud to say that Amarillo College deep commitment to innovation and rapid cycle innovation allowed our organization to go from spring break, an additional week after spring break, and we were ready to go to tech-supported learning because of COVID. 2 weeks that it took us to do that. And I have a statistic at the end of my presentation to let you know how well we did and how proud I am of our organization. So is everybody with me? You understand what rapid cycle innovation is as a framework. It's about doing things more quickly, but it's about a replicable process with measurable metrics that, when done well, can be done repeatable cycles of improvement. And blitz scaling is, we just got to get it done, hook or crook, however we're going to get it done. There's a lot more chaos, broken communication, frustrated people. You still get to the end, but sometimes relationships are not always there. And everyone that starts with you in the blitz scaling mode may not be with you at the end. Rapid cycle innovation is about bringing everyone along so that we're all there at the beginning and we're all there at the end. So I'm going to share our story today through the lens of rapid cycle innovation. And there are 4 areas that I'm going to share with you today. Now, remember, the last time I was with you, I talked about the culture of caring, that we need to love the student that you have. And our commitment at Amarillo College to rapid cycle innovation and the hard work that comes with it is because we are deeply committed to loving the student that we have, not the student that we wish we had. And so here's my transformer voice coming out, is that I really want to say that who would have thought that simply loving your student the way you would love yourself, or that you would take care of yourself or your family, would lead to the dramatic change of success at our college, that would lead to so much recognition and accolades, and the opportunity for me to share with you the wonderful things that we're doing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about our culture of caring as I'm going through the presentation, but I want to stress how important it is. There's not any magic that happened. Amarillo College loves their students. I will say this, that there was a previous slide, and I will make sure that my PowerPoint presentation is made available to anyone at Ivy Tech. But if you saw on the slide, the antidote is a documentary. And Amarillo College is in a documentary on kindness. It will be released on Netflix or Hulu after the first of the year. I tried to see if I can get Ivy Tech an early screening of the documentary, but the opportunity for that has expired for the distributors of the documentary. But yes, our community college has been featured in that. And that's not about bragging. I'm not trying to be braggadocious. I'm trying to say that the culture of caring and loving your students really can work to lift your students' success. And I would dare say it's the foundational component. So when Dr. Lowry Hart became president, remember, for those of you who heard me last year, I was telling you about 70% completion by 2020. We were looking at a 3-year completion rate, that if a student comes in, 3 years later, they're going to have a credential or they're going to transfer. And drum roll, please, I have the numbers. We did not make our goal, but we got to 55%. And I will tell you in a little bit about how far, where we were to where we are now. But we're not discouraged. If you would know where we came from to get to 55%, okay, I'll go ahead and tell you. We were basically at 25%. So in 3 years of commitment to rapid cycle innovation and this student success work, we improved our graduation and completion and transfer rate by 30%. And we're not stopping. We're going to get to 70%. In fact, we dare in our next strategic plan, we're going to exceed 70%. I have so much confidence in us as an organization and the fantastic employees and faculty that we have here that we are going to be able to do it. So again, I shared this with you, and I want to make sure, because this slide, I'm going to probably going to change this slide because it did not take us 10 years to get here. This 2006 completion rate, which has held steady from 2007, 2008, 2009, in the 3-year cohort. So from 2006 to 2009, we were at 25%, and we pretty much stayed there the entire time. When we launched our rapid cycle innovation of this commitment to student success, we started with the 2016 cohort, and from 2016 to 2019, we have been able to move our completion rate in a 3-year period of time from that 25% to that 55%, 30 percentage point increase. So how do we do that? So here's our theory of change. I have to make sure that I always bring this forward. We have a theory of change that is specific, it's actionable, and it's about removing a life barrier. And that's anything that keeps a student from being able to participate in college in an accelerated learning environment. That's 8-week courses through a deep culture of caring equals completion. And 30 percentage point gain in 3 years, we're pretty excited about that. So I want to talk about this blueprint for innovation. How did Amarillo College do this? So remember, we're talking about rapid cycle innovation and a replicable model that I think applies. Now, I will say this. Amarillo College doesn't own this blueprint. It's been around. It's just that we have worked really hard to implement a blueprint that most of us have tried to do when we're doing interventions. But the issue that I want to focus you on is right here in the middle of this circle, the culture of readiness and data. So most of the time in the work that I've been doing, Amarillo College has trained almost 300 institutions in doing this type of work. And most of the time when we try to do change, we start with an intervention, we design it, we implement it, and we assess the results, and we try to modify it and see if it works. And then we might repeat it again. But a lot of times you hear people saying, oh, we tried that, it didn't work. And it might be true that it did not work. But did you do the due diligence with your culture of readiness and your data to make sure that your intervention had a chance to be able to work? And then how did you approach your assessment results and all of that? So I'm going to really be focusing on this culture of readiness. And I know that data-driven decision-making is a part of your institution and mine, but this is the area that I do feel that institutions are really not focusing on systematically when it comes to the culture of readiness and data. See, if you take the business world's approach to rapid cycle innovation, the little boutique programs that we used to do, those are perfectly fine. But in the world that we're living in, when it comes to the student success agenda, when it comes to facing the giants of change, the boutique programs will not work. Amarillo College has we're just slightly under 10,000 students. And having a program for 25 students isn't going to move the needle. And we're trying to implement interventions that will reach the most students. And so this approach, our blueprint, is about doing the deep culture of readiness and the data so that when we do an intervention and design and implement and go through this blueprint of innovation, we actually will be able to implement it almost at scale. And I'm saying at scale. And that is our goal. That's the difference between just rapid cycle innovation in the business world and where I think that higher education needs to go when it comes to rapid cycle innovation. No more 25 student pilots, even 100 student pilots. If you have an institution size of 3,000 students, 5,000 students, we need to be implementing our interventions at a larger scale. And that means in order to do that, that means more employees are going to be affected by it. More change and transformation will be required, sometimes painful, and we have to do more in the area of the culture of readiness in order to be able to make that happen. I'm going to be taking you through 4 key arcs of change that Amarillo College has gone through. And you can see that we spend the most of our time on the culture of readiness for change. And then as we go through, we start to decline. Well, I am so proud to tell you that we were able to go and convert a 10,000 student institution to 100% co-rec in 9 months. But let me tell you, that did not happen. It would not have happened had we not done our due diligence on the culture of readiness for change with the data in order to be able to make that happen. The culture of caring, which is our poverty initiative, that's that component of loving the student and emergency aid. That part, that took us 2 years to get there. And then by the time we started to work on the accelerated courses, that was about 18 months to get us to a basic level of skill that we feel is working with our data. And then the 100% co-requisite. And just so that everyone knows, the co-requisite is where the student who is underprepared for college level work needs a support course to be able to matriculate. We no longer have any student, I don't care what their entry level of skill is, in a developmental education course in a linear model. Every student that comes in, even the student that needs basic mathematics, yes, and I know some of you your head's exploding. I should have had an emoji up there. Your head is exploding, but yes, even that student who came in at basic level, we are putting them into college level mathematics, and we are seeing, yes, students even at that level are succeeding fantastically in taking their college level math. We do have the pathways of college algebra and contemporary mathematics, and we do have STEM college algebra. And I will say that, yes, we have students even being successful. These students without linear developmental education are being successful in STEM-based college algebra with rigorous supports. So I'm going to take you through these arcs of change. And I don't want anyone to panic. I'm looking at my time. I promise I will save plenty of time for us to have a conversation. This is just another representation of our arcs of change and just how we've done this. just as we continue along, because we put in the time up front, each time we're getting faster and faster and faster. Now, I'll be honest, I do not anticipate, nor do I recommend at my organization, that we do any other interventions of change. And I'm going to tell you the ones we're going to tackle for 2020 to 2025 here in a moment. Anything less than 9 months. I really think that our sweet spot is between 9 to 12 months for any major change. I think that's reasonable because of the culture of readiness that we have in place. So let's talk about the culture change and what we did. In order to get that culture of readiness for change, our president started the President's Leadership Institute. I have invested in academic leadership development. We've had general assemblies twice a year. Amarillo College does, very similar to the Student Success Summit. We shut down to the outside world. We don't have classes, maybe just a few part-time faculty might be teaching. And remember, and I'll tell you, we're 70% full-time, about 30% part-time. And I know that Ivy Tech is the opposite, if I recall from my last visit, but I still believe this has application. This replicable innovation blueprint is applicable to Ivy Tech. You might have a little bit more time in your arc of change for the culture of readiness for change, but it still can happen. And the world needs to see Ivy Tech just do this, because there's so many schools around the country that have so many part-time instructors. It can be done. Then the other piece are the data summits and town halls. In fact, Dr. Larry Hart's doing a town hall at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. He's always in front of our employees. And then me as a vice president, as an ambassador of that message, I take that message into the academic unit. And then just department meetings. And these are not just any department meetings. Every year I go through, and I'll start this in January, I go on what is my kind of road show. I will go and meet with every faculty group and see how they're doing, checking the pulse. If there's a major innovation that I need to get them ready for, I will talk with them, bring the data, often go into that meeting with our institutional research leader, who's amazing and also been a former faculty member with me. So these are just a snapshot of some of the culture of readiness for change activities that we have done. But remember, these are at a deep systemic level, and these things have been at scale. And I want to talk about data. Amarillo College is deeply committed to data democratization. And you can go to look at our dashboards. There are many, most of them are forward-facing, public-facing. So go to dair.actx.edu and feel free to look at our data dashboards. We are happy to share those. So let's talk a little bit more about this no excuses culture of caring. This is the arc of change. So remember, I'm going to do 3 more arcs and tell you what we've done and show you the data. The evidence that the culture of readiness for change is working, I believe, is just the overall success that the college is having. But one of the things that we've done is in this culture of readiness, with the culture of caring, is that we start to focus on removing that life barrier for students. That means a legal clinic, counseling, our advocacy and resource center, where we're now serving at least 50% of our student population receiving some type of services from the ARC, the Advocacy and Resource Center. And I am so proud of our emergency aid system. We have the ability to put assistance in the hands of our students within 24 hours or less, that we can either pay a vendor directly, whether it's a light bill or an apartment complex or a vehicle repair. We're able to do that in 24 hours or less, and we can cut a check directly to a student in that same time period. So let's look at this arc of change. This is the second arc of change. This one, our data shows that students who have had a touch from our Advocacy and Resource Center, that broader support, have a 32% higher level of retention than students who have not received support in some kind of way, and a 14% increase in persistence. So we're proud of that. We're continuing to try to scale. We're not done trying to serve more and more students, but we are making progress. And that arc of change took us about 2 years. So let's talk about the third arc of change, which is accelerated learning. This is our 8-week course model. We went from the reason why we took on 8-week courses goes back to the theory of change. The theory of change was that we want the students to finish in 3 years or less. We knew that in order to do that, we needed more students to go full time. So if you look from 2012 to 2015, for the most part, we only were able to get students to full time. This is our pre-full-time numbers, is about 37% full-time. But when we started to move to scaling from 16-week courses to 8-week courses, you can see in our arc of change that we basically have flipped it. That now we're hovering right now at about 70% or so of our students of all of our enrollments are in some type of 8-week format. And so this is really, really important. I want to say 95% of our general education core is in an 8-week format. And I'm going to show you the success because there are so many people who say, well, oh, you can change it structurally, Tamara, but how are the students doing in the classroom? Really great question. Let me show you this data. I want to say that now with the changeover and this arc of change of about 18 months to full time to getting more students full time through 8-week courses, we're now at 46% of our students enrolled in full time. And it's having a huge impact on our associate degree completions in particular. So now let's look at how the students did in the classroom. In the classroom, I want to try to explain this really quickly, that we see that when we started out in 2016, the spring of 2016, we were about a little over 75% success in 16-week courses. When we implemented this, it wasn't at scale in spring of 16. We didn't get to scale until started going at scale until we started getting a year later. Still, even with that, the success in the 8-week course was higher than the 16-week course. Now, we are still looking at what happens in that second 8 weeks. We are better than where we were, but there's still that fatigue factor, and we're still trying to work on that. And what can we do? Looking at course sequencing, which courses are students taking when to try to address that fatigue. For example, we don't want a student taking anatomy and physiology and another rigorous science course or their math together. What can we do to try to improve that second 8 weeks? But we still are not really still proud of the fact that we're still above where we were with 16-week courses. So we're pleased. Now, some of you are looking at it. My data folks are going, oh, Tamara, look at that. The 16-week course is higher than the first 8 weeks. Well, let me tell you what happened. When we went to scale with 8-week courses, and now that the majority of our enrollments are in 8-week courses, we now have mostly our upper division students only in the 16-week courses. So these are our students in nursing and our most rigorous programs. They are still in the 16-week model. And so these students are the ones who have proven that they're going to persist. And so that is the reason why the 16-week numbers are now higher than the first 8 weeks. And as we've gone to scale with 8-week courses, there has been a slight decline, but you can see that we've never dropped below where we originally were when we started with 16-week courses as we've gone to scale. Okay, let's talk about my heart, which is dead reform. At the heart of our equity plan is developmental education reform. And we now are, as I said earlier, at 100% co-requisite without restriction. We don't have a chart that says if you score this, you can go into the co-requisite. If you test into developmental education, regardless of the cut score levels, you're going into a college level math class. So you can only imagine what happened at this college. But we did that because we have been improving developmental education success for the entire time that I've been in Amarillo College. But we were not moving the students through fast enough for them to be able to complete in 3 years, because 3-year completion is the goal. So we knew that we had to go to 100% co-requisite. It was the most daring thing that we've ever done. It was scary because remember those arcs of change. We did it in 9 months. We started this process in about January of 19, and in the fall of 19, we started. We rolled this out, and that included data summit, bringing in experts, investing in our faculty who are amazing. And I mean, I love our faculty and the hard work that they do. And I forgot again, please forgive me. I don't have my pen that says I'm a faculty advocate, because in all of this rapid cycle innovation, we've always kept our eye on our faculty and how important they are to this work and these cycles of change. So here are the results. In 1 year, we have been able to cut 3 semesters off on the time to completion for our students in the math co-requisite. In the math co-requisite, everyone, that means taking a student, regardless of their developmental education level, and putting them in college algebra, contemporary mathematics, or STEM-based college algebra. And we save 2 semesters of time on English. And then I also want to show you the removing a life barrier, just the arc of improvement that we've had in student success for students that have been touched by our culture of caring and our poverty initiative. So here's our last arc. It's not one that was on there. I'm going to add this in really quickly. I do want to share with you the blitzscaling results of Amarillo College with COVID-19. The hardest thing we've done, just crazy. I know I'm not alone. I could pass the microphone to anyone at Ivy Tech, and I know you could tell me the stories, good, bad, and the ugly, of getting yourselves to be able to serve students in the middle of a pandemic. But here's our success. I am so proud of our faculty. Do you know that in the second 8 weeks of the spring semester of 2020, when we are in something that I never expected to see in my lifetime, we had the lowest course withdrawal rate in the history of Amarillo College, a 34% decrease in withdrawal of courses. That means that our faculty applied the deep culture of caring and working with students, helping them to get online, helping them to feel comfortable with the technology, making sure their courses had the right instructional design elements to be to work in an online setting. We do have 3 instructional designers for 200 full-time faculty and several hundred part-time faculty. So I just want to celebrate that even in blitzscaling, you can have success, but I want to stress that I don't recommend anyone have their organization to work in a blitzscaling mode as a permanent way of operating. But I do believe that the rapid cycle innovation using that replicable process is a way to love our students and to help them to be successful. I also just want to show you that I'm also proud to say that the increase has largely been in associate's degrees. We do have those short-term certificates, and we're about to start some wonderful work with work-based learning and apprenticeships, but we also have seen a significant increase in our completion rate. So let me just go back really quickly as I'm winding this up. I hope to give us about a good solid 20 minutes to be able to answer questions and dialogue. But this blueprint for innovation, please see and understand that this is about doing it at scale. You have to invest in that culture of readiness. You have to have the data. You have to have a strategy by which to hear the faculty, to hear the employees. This is not about dividing the employee groups. We do not want the faculty and the classified and our staff, those who do that indirect work with students, and then those that do the direct work of tutoring, to feel like this was something for the faculty and not for everyone. This was about keeping our entire employee group together, faculty and staff, and you need to focus on doing that. And then making sure that that data is available, that there is that transparency, and you have a solid way of communicating it so that it informs the design. Your due diligence with the culture of readiness for change and the data should hopefully give you a better design that as you go through the implementation process, you're assessing it, you're modifying it, and then you're repeating it. Don't give up just because an intervention doesn't necessarily work out. But I am seeing more and more that not investing in these 2 in the blue here is making for weak design and weak process implementation. When the blueprint is done with excellence and done systematically and strategically, okay, it can work. You can have that, and you can be process strong and not process weak in your implementation. Okay, so what's next for Amarillo College? Well, we finished up the 2020 plan. We didn't hit that 70% goal, but we've now just launched a couple of weeks ago the 2025 plan. And in that 2025 plan, these are the next arcs of rapid cycle innovation for us. We're trying to figure out how to bring technology and coding to all of our students. We are implementing a college-wide earn and learn program where the majority of our students, we're still trying to figure out what scale is going to be for us with this, where the majority of our students are going to be in some type of work-based program where we're going to not even be in the lab as much, that we're going to be on the job with employers. And yes, liberal arts, we are going to make sure that we figure that out. Although I admit that probably the least amount of students may be in the liberal arts for our apprenticeship and work-based learning, but the coding and the technology will still apply in the liberal arts domain. And then the last one is to be an anti-racist institution. Amarillo College, I just want to brag on my community for a minute. Amarillo College now has the first Black African-American vice president in its community in the 90-year history of its organization. We had our first Black police chief. We had our first Black city manager. We now have our first Black federal district judge and the president and board president of the Amarillo Independent School Board. So our community is really ripe to do amazing things. And understand, I know that being an anti-racist institution isn't about Black or white per se, but I just want to brag on our institution for what our community, I should say, and Amarillo College and Dr. Larry Hart for, again, being that trailblazing leader to be able to allow us to tackle this. I am on the anti-racism team. Wish us luck with this work. We feel really comfortable. I'll say this, Amarillo College could never have tackled being an anti-racist institution had we not done the work earlier that I showed you about being a college that has a culture of readiness for change, regardless of what that change is. Whew. Can you believe it? I got through all of those slides. I still think we have about 15 minutes left for us to be able to, and Kara, to have a conversation and answer questions.
That was fantastic, Dr. Clunis. Thank you. And yes, there are questions coming in. I'm going to try to feed them to you quickly, and I'm going to go in the order that they were received. Patricia Watkins asks, what are some specific examples of some out-of-the-box ideas and programs that your college has put in place to help meet students where they are and to be supportive of them during this challenging time?
Okay, so I'll talk pre-COVID and then COVID. Pre-COVID, one of the things that we have done is to provide free tutoring for students who need the remediation. So we know that students are going to be coming in, and we've gone into the high schools, established success centers. There, we have a success center on every campus, and we don't charge students anything for those types of services. By doing that and getting the students started early for free, is increasing the wonderful success that we're seeing in our 100% co-requisite. But it's just a walk-in success center that we have for students. Now, post-COVID, I will say that our data is showing that our Black female students are struggling more in the pandemic. And so we're really working on our services. And I think we've done a lot of what other people have done, Russ, to technology, computers, making internet available in the communities, partnering with the high schools. Those are just two of the things that we've done. I can get some more, and I'll put that in and send it on to you for you to forward on to Patricia.
Perfect. Octavia Thorns Jackson asks, what have you included in the rigorous support, that was a term you used, for the students in developmental courses?
Great question. Okay, so if you are a student in developmental education and you're going into our co-requisite, you're going to have a developmental education instructor in a class that's being run concurrently, but that instructor is also going to attend your college level math class. You're going to have a peer tutor embedded in every section of the course. And so that's embedded support. We also have intensified professional development for all of our instructors. We actually are paying for our developmental education instructors to go back and get their master's degrees in mathematics and English so that they can be even stronger to support the students in the co-requisite. And then we also have ramped up our online tutoring as well as our face-to-face tutoring with COVID in our math area. But that embedded peer tutor and that embedded adult developmental education instructor in the class, plus seeing that instructor after with rigorous protocols for excellence in teaching, is what's giving us that success.
All right. The next question is from my friend Rebecca Bishop from our Fort Wayne campus, and it's a multi-part question. So if you need me to repeat a bit of it later, Tamara, no problem.
Okay.
Rebecca's wondering what the practices were that you put in place for the co-rec models. Were students supported by the same instructor in the program level and the developmental class? That's question one.
Okay. Really quickly, right now, we have the college level math faculty and a developmental education instructor paired together. But when our developmental math faculty get their master's degrees in mathematics, our long-term goal is that the students will have the same instructor for both sides. We do have a few sections where our college level math faculty are teaching both sides. And they requested it. I didn't know if they would want to do it, but they requested it. And so we have both models going on.
That's interesting. We have a similar situation here at Ivy Tech right now. The next question from Rebecca is, were these delivered, these paired classes, in the accelerated 8-week model?
Yes, they are in 8 weeks.
And did you offer some type of second chance for the students who weren't able to pass their program level class?
So we do have, if a student doesn't pass that course, they do have the opportunity to re-enroll. And we are currently looking at the re-enrollment rate. And if you'd like to follow up with me, I can get that information to you. But we also have a strong partnership with our adult education, federal adult education program. And if a student isn't successful in the co-requisite, we do offer them that free opportunity to take those adult education classes that's not tuition bearing, that has no bearing on that. They're 8-week courses. They can do them while they're going on to their other courses. We do have that fallback. But now we're ready, since we've got about 3 full semesters of data, to start really looking at what we've done and how our fallback work is going.
All right. Mary Henahan, who's from our Indianapolis campus, asks, can you discuss how you changed job descriptions for staff and faculty around caring for students, where everyone has the potential to change students' lives?
Oh man, what a wonderful question. We have changed job descriptions. We have not only changed job descriptions, we hire towards these values. We also put the values in the performance evaluations of employees, and the faculty created their own I care values that they are required, that they decide they want to be held accountable to in their own evaluations. And the I care values and the college's corporate values are in every job description that we have. The last thing I do as far as the faculty, I think it's important to note, Russ, is that I interview every single candidate that is forwarded from the faculty search committees. And I make sure that I talk to them about our culture of caring. I want to make sure that they're interviewing us as much as we're interviewing them. I want them to make an informed decision. And 90% of the people come on, but there are some people who just kind of decided, I'm not sure, for different reasons. And I also have something now called the Teaching for Transformation Institute. It's a 9-month onboarding of new faculty that we've gone now to if you've been hired in the last 4 years, you're going through this Transformation Institute, where again, I'm focusing on the culture of caring, the readiness for change, the instructional excellence needs that we have. So that's really been important, and I'm really proud of that.
All right.
Okay.
Jolene asks, how do you fund all the support where you said you were showing the love and giving students the financial help they need? How are you funding that support for the students?
Great. We're funding it through donations from private philanthropy. We have a very robust AC Foundation in their work of raising funds for this. We also have been able to write grants in the private sector. We've had anonymous donations of $75,000. A gentleman saw the work that we were doing and sent in $75,000 to fund this work. So we have a no excuses fund through our philanthropy arm of the college that is able to raise money. The CARES Act, we're actually required, we're now expending our CARES Act funds, but we do have private philanthropy. I will go on ahead and add that we have funded all the free tutoring and the other robust supports and the faculty professional development that we've increased over $300,000 in additional money to pay faculty professional development through grants as well. I am the braided funding queen, they tell me, taking institutional money, the right mix of private philanthropy dollars and institutional dollars to be able to pay for this work. We are writing grants even now, trying to fund the 2025 plan. And so that's pretty much the strategy. And I will say that we have walked the walk about stopping things that are not working and reallocating those funds and just removing all the, kind of excess expenses and really getting down to brass tacks and reallocating money to cover things.
Tamara, how are you planning to scale work-based learning experiences for all students? And this question is coming from Ben Carter.
Okay. Well, this story, that arc of change, Ben, is still being written. But this is where we're starting right now. We are going to have two components of our Adams Earn and Learn, which is going to be a full-on apprenticeship program. 100% of the time you are at the job. That's going to be a smaller part of our apprenticeship model. And then the rest is going to be course-based. So I intend to write a HSI STEM grant and another grant to try to take the college, the academic side of the courses, through another focused course redesign where we will move to competency-based instruction. And we're still working on that, so I can't be fully specific. But we also are completely redesigning our advisory boards to use the business, industry, and leadership training model, where the employer is no longer a passive participant, but they're actually driving the curricular change. And so I'm counting on the employers to help me figure out how I can get my students onto their sites to where they're not in labs in theory as much. I want to switch it where there's more athlete work and less lab. So you can invite me back, Russ, and I'll tell you about that story. Hopefully it's going to be a good one.
All right. Could you share, Marco Rodriguez asks, could you share any information regarding the industries represented in your work-based learning programming and cohort sizes?
We are launching actually our first cohort in January, and we're going traditional, what you would probably expect, a technical education, automotive, machining, but we do have marketing, accounting that we're doing on the transfer side, but it's most of our technical education, and we have 40 students that we're going to launch with. We expect a full-on apprenticeship. We are not doing registered apprenticeships, by the way. That's just not going to work in our community. But because we just don't have the support for that and all the documentation. But I would say that our goal would be to enroll about 100 to 200 students across 10 industries. And we're focusing right now on our East Campus, technical campus, with all the aviation, welding, machining, automotive, industrial maintenance, and things like that.
All right. Pam Schmeltz asks, how are students who are on the autism spectrum supported in 8-week classes, and how successful are they, particularly in technical courses?
So I don't have that information, but I can tell you about how I'm partnering with our students who need special support. We actually co-located our disability services department on the same floor with our developmental education team, so that support can be more readily available, where the leadership of that area can talk to the leadership of our developmental education unit. Now we have a bond that we're going to be redoing our building, so I'm not sure that co-location is going to stay. But we do have a developmental education council that's cross-sector, that includes disability services for that collaboration. I don't have the specific information, but I sure can put you in contact and can inquire with our IR department to see if I can dig a little deeper to see how those students are doing in the co-requisite. It's a fantastic question, and we should be held accountable to how we're serving those students.
All right. Jeanette Ninon Kone, might not be pronouncing that quite right. Jeanette asks, in addition to the culture of caring, what other initiatives have been implemented to attract and retain minority and international students?
Okay, so I can give you a little bit more about the demographics of Amarillo. First, we are a majority minority institution. We're Hispanic serving. Almost 50% of our student population is Hispanic, and 5% of our population at Amarillo College is African American or Black. And we do have a refugee population. We're a refugee intake community. In all of these successes, we have blown away in the numbers for Hispanic females, Hispanic males, and African American female or Black female students. We are still struggling with our Black male students. So we are now a part of that anti-racism team is also part of our equity plan. And so we now have organizations expressly for those student populations. And we are actually writing that story right now of how we can do more. My goal would be that we're over-enrolled of our community for African-American students, but we are over-enrolled in our Hispanic student population at Amarillo College. And the students are doing quite well. If you would see the number of students that are graduating minority students that are students of color graduating with nursing degrees, it makes me proud. I would like to see more Black or African American students and our international students in that number. But we do have a success center at our health science campus where we provide ESL embedded support that's available in nursing and in our other health science programs. And we have a wonderful instructor who is just ESL. She's fantastic, and she's supporting students in all areas of our health science programs to retain those students in those majors.
Dr. Clunis, I can tell you, I know you haven't been able to check the chat screen, but there are many, many positive comments about your presentation, thanking you in various ways for the things that you've been able to bring to us this afternoon.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of Our College, Your Voices. I want to again thank Dr. Tamara Clunis, who gave us an incredible keynote address at the Student Success Summit, and I really enjoyed listening to it again. I hope that you did as well. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNM Tweets. You can reach us by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivtech.edu. Don't forget, you can also leave us a voicemail at 317-572-5049. Don't forget, if you're an Ivy Tech faculty or staff member, you can join our Microsoft Teams listener community. Just open up Teams, go to the Join a Team button, and find the listener community. It's the Our College, Your Voices listener community. Our website is ivtech.edu/podcast. Production assistance for this and every episode provided by Becky Campbell, Sarah Ferguson, and the Ivy Tech Community College marketing team. And our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music, recording, and post-production services provided by the incredible Jen Eads at the Brassie Broadcasting Company. And we will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.